Hello and welcome to our special series continuing in the longest television broadcast series since the middle of the lockdown to the time we assess how we get India back on track, not only in a changed pandemic reality, but in a changed global reality. We've been talking to hundreds of entrepreneurs, thinkers, consultants, and people who contribute to wealth creation in this country. We've been doing it in partnership with Business World. Let me introduce the panel joining us on the broadcast in this special telecast. Let me quickly begin with Mr. Sankalp Shukla. He is the founder director of the Hemisphere. Mr. Praveen Khandelwal, Secretary General of the Confederation of All India Traders, which has been holding a lot of protests, by the way. I'm sure you remember that. Mr. Vijay Rai is joining us. He's the Chief Growth Officer of the Asia Pacific region and Executive Board Member at Day One Technologies in the US, Singapore, Dubai, and in India. We also have Ms. Mruga Umrania. She's a creative entrepreneur. Mr. Vishwadeepak Dikshit, founder and at Music Culture. And as always, we also have Dr. Anurag Thakur. Before that, let me also introduce Mr. Durga Madhab Dash, CEO of Stykit. The editor-in-chief of Business World, Anurag Batra, is with us again. Anurag ji, as always, can you set up today's debate?
Thank you for doing this for more than almost now approaching 3 months. We've talked to the cross spectrum of Indian entrepreneurs in every sector, and we've discussed the road to recovery. It was initially the economic stimulus, and now it is about the Atmanirbhar Bharat. How can we regain momentum and the Indian economy coming back? Let me start with Sankalp. Sankalp, you've been a veteran entrepreneur. You've seen multiple businesses. You've seen exits. When do you see the economy coming back? When do you see demand coming back? The government has addressed the supply side to some extent. What can it do to address the demand side?
If I have to just bring the entire debate to a perspective, I would say we have already seen there are some green shoots which are already available when it comes to the economy. You are already seeing auto sector has already rebounded back. There was a news about steel demand going back to 3.5 lakh ton in the month of July. So yes, there are green shoots. But if I have to specifically talk about, I would say the government has been very conservative in terms of actually playing on the fiscal deficit. This was the time when the government should have gone ahead and breached the norm of any norms which have been set up by them in terms of borrowing. Because when a government borrows, it is very different from an individual who is borrowing. So my take has been, government has been very, very conservative. They should have gone ahead, breached the fiscal deficit part. They could have gone ahead and actually one big announcement which has come recently in last 4 or 5 days is about the spend on infrastructure, which I was expecting to be coming in last 2 to 3 months. So I think so, yes, what we have seen is that they are making some positive moves. We are already seeing that there has been a great effort which has been done on MSME part of the spend in terms of the disbursals. 90% of close to 1,37,000 crores have been already disbursed. So good part, as you rightly said, on the demand side. On the supply side, I feel there is still a move to be made. But final point here is that entrepreneurs in this country are driven by only one aspect, and that's the sentiment. And that's the animal spirit which government has to bring back into this entire entrepreneur sector, entire industry of ours. And that's what I feel the entire push needs to be coming from the government. The animal.
Okay. Sankalp rightly said, sentiment matters. The only question I would have, where on 21st August, the moratorium ends on 31st August. Do you see a bloodbath post that?
Absolutely. Let's not mince words. I think so. The quarter of December and also March is going to be actually very, very tough. And not only for some of the industries which have already been, facing a lot of the brunt of last even pre-COVID era, but you would also see it happening with some of the very marquee companies. So that's where I feel government needs to step in, and stimulus is always about government intervention, and that's where I
said spending on infrastructure. That could be one route via which it could happen. Vijay, again, technology has become a driver. Earlier, technology was an enabler. I would say any business that is not a technology business or a technology-driven business possibly is less valuable and less impactful than a, technology-led business. Tell us, do you think the habits as consumers, the habits as entrepreneurs, the habits as corporates that we have formed in this digital economy will stay beyond pandemic? Even when the vaccine comes, even when the COVID goes away, what are the habits that we will keep? What are the habits that will go away? And what does it mean for the various sectors in the economy? Vijay, you'll have to unmute yourself. Unmute is the single biggest word used in 2020. And I hope through these conversations, we can unmute the economy.
Great. I think that's a brilliant start, Dr. Anurag. And I'm very happy to join you. It's a brilliant question, actually. I mean, you talked about habits, and I like that word. Even before the global economy hit crisis, there was a survey in which I also participated, and that says 92% of the companies leaders who were surveyed by some global firms, they thought their business model would not remain viable given the speed of digitization and digital transformation. What I feel. So just look at just before the crisis and after the crisis, the digital acceleration was happening, but it is further more accelerated. So what I would like to say that in another survey by Psychology Today, a great magazine, Anurag, you will know that, 66 days people take to get a habit formed as per the global psychologists and behavioral analysts. 66 days is taken to form a habit. And what happens now that it is more than 6 months, we have formed the habit already. So earlier there was a gloom doom situation. Now people are trying to adjust and adapt to the new normal. And what I don't like, that this work from home concept is overhyped, by the way.
I agree with you.
Overhyped. Actually, in technology or in people who are very progressive, they don't play office 9 to 5. They actually believe not in the work from home, but in the flow of work. Anurag, you work 24/7, 365, I know that. For all of us, it is not work from home. From my side, the new technology which I want to say is the working in the flow of work. And how do we
call it flexi work? Yeah, I call it flexi work.
Absolutely.
But you call it flow.
So to your question, the crisis has forced the companies into a massive experiment in how to be more nimble, how to be more flexible, how to be more flat, and using data and technology to transform organizations at the speed of business and customer requirement. Because today I was speaking to a person who is the technology guy of MG Motors. MG Motors, has got one plant in Vadodara. And what happens, we were speaking about artificial intelligence-led some work with them. And what I was told, that they are an internet car company. Just imagine you can fix the car online and you can do the predictive maintenance and preventive maintenance. So much of software, so much of digital thing has gone into it. By the way, one good example I would like to give it to you, Anurag, from this itself is that during the process of lockdown, the company was not silent. They were pushing a lot of these data and a lot of these softwares into the system, and they were trying to experiment how, when the lockdown is open, they are going to operate to become closer to the customers, closer to suppliers, closer to dealers. It is the entire ecosystem. One piece of the ecosystem is missing. You can't manufacture a car. So that is what I just wanted to say, that the speed of digital acceleration, what we see today, is accelerated at the rate of 10 years. What we were trying to do 10 years later is just kind of been preponed today. And this is going to create tremendous opportunities. Give an example of Coursera. One of my friend who is the managing director South Asia, Raghav, you might be knowing him, Raghav Gupta. He was saying my business has gone up 600%. Zoom has gone 1700%. So the likes of these companies are going to grow. But I think in the times to come, most of the businesses will be having their phygital model, physical as well as digital model, which we call
a hybrid model.
Hybrid model.
At this point, it's a beautiful segue into talking to Mr. Khandelwal. You know, fortunately, one of the sectors that is getting hot is the Kirana sector. It is your neighborhood grocer, your neighborhood baniawala who needs to get automated. You know, Jio, Facebook, and every player is trying to make a go at that. And I know, Mr. Khandelwal, you know that ecosystem really well. Tell us, when do you see all the neighborhood shops and kiranas getting digitized? And what are the threats to that? What is the flip side to that? I know you and your association have a certain viewpoint on how it should be done. We'd love to hear from you, Mr. Khandelwal.
Well, thank you, Anurag, for bringing me into this discussion. And let me tell you that COVID has become a blessing in disguise for the retail trade of India. And as Vijay was saying, that what we were expected to do in 10 years, these 4-5 months of COVID has done all those things. So during the COVID, even a trader in a very distant area or far-flung area, he was not knowing of the technology. But in COVID period, when we had 75 consecutively discussions daily on online, telling the traders that now it is the time to upgrade and modernize themselves and to live up to the expectation of your customer. So therefore, now technology is not a foreigner element for the trading community. That traders are very well equipped to embrace the technology. And on this point, let me just share information with you that very shortly, probably in the month of September, we the Confederation of All India Traders, is launching an e-commerce portal with the name of Bharat E-Market. And the neighborhood Kirana wala or Baniya wala, as you were saying in your remark, we are providing them opportunity to make sales to their the trusted partners or the trusted customers, because whenever a customer will log in, it will be through geofencing. The nearest neighborhood shops within the 5-kilometer radius will be available to them, and this portal will work through the traders only, and will provide all kind of robust logistics. But what
about data? One of the concerns is that if big players come in, and I'm not taking those names, you can imagine, the traders have a real worry about, you know, the data being used to reach out directly to the consumer. That's a worry.
That data will be completely remain onshore, and no foreign investment, even for 1 rupee, will be in the system, and everything will be contributed by the traders themselves. There are 7 crore traders employing 40 crore people and having an annual turnover of 50 lakh crores of rupees. That is the scale of Indian retail business. But I must admit that government has to carve out certain policies to empower and enrich the retailer, because so far, in spite of all our efforts since last more than 5 years, only 35% of 7 crore traders could have been able to integrate with computer technology.
Sure.
So this is the case, and our traders are now more interested, and we need to just tell them what is AI and what is ML. And if we are able to impart this knowledge, I think the Indian retail trade is certainly going to provide a big stimulus to Indian economy, and the informal sector will become a formal sector.
Thank you so much, Mr. Khandelwal. Mruga, you and Vish Deepak Dikshit represent the creative economy on this. I'm not saying that others are not creative, but you come from the music sector, Vish Deepak. Mruga, you come from the performance arts and the cinema side. Tell us, how was, Mruga, your industry of filmmaking and of short films, while we continued to consume content for the last 5 months? The production of content impacted every stakeholder, whether it was a cinema hall, whether it was a creator, whether it was a producer, whether it was an actor, whether these were platforms that needed fresh content. So would love to know from you, how have you coped up with the loss of business, and when do you see this business coming back? Mruga Urmania?
Yes, Anurag. Everybody has seen the dark side of this lockdown phase, but I would like to represent the positive side, the positive aspect of it. Like, it has become more of digitized, and the whole of India, especially all the Indians, have learned and got more acquainted with the digital social media and digitized films, short films, and consuming such contents, sitting at home with family or friends or alone. So earlier it used to be only theatrical releases, and now it has the digital media, the social media, the OTT platforms has become really strong. It has become equally strong like the theaters, because all the top films have started releasing on OTT platform, and even the producers have started considering it as a serious platform rather than just a theatrical release. So that is a plus point and a new avenue which is opened up, unlike earlier phase. Earlier there was only theaters.
I was trying to get a story. I read a story about 6 weeks back where a certain film actor, a producer, was selling vegetables in Bombay. Now,
Yes.
there is a serious loss of livelihood. I don't want to trivialize the discussion, but there is a serious loss of livelihood in the entertainment ecosystem. When do you see that coming back? When do you see production starting? Is there a date to it?
See, Anurag, production has started past 1.5 months, probably 2 months, be it serials or shoots and other modeling shoots, certain movie shoots also. But as of now, there is no clarity, since there is a strict regulation on the number of people gathering at a place. So large shoots are not possible, because any film shoot will require like 100, 150, 200 people, crew and the staff. So as of now, we are targeting, it should be October, but then let's see when does our PM opens up everything, and let's us.
So there's still a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
There's a little, Durga, you represent the startups on this panel, and the startups have been the most impacted, because in a lot of sectors, the startups' revenues have gone down to zero or close to zero, depending on what sector you are in. Second, they haven't been able to raise capital. So tell us, do you see a lot of startups folding up in the next 2 to 3 months, or do you see hope for startups?
I think no doubt it's been a tough time the last 5 to 6 months. And I think I wouldn't say a lot of startups will fold up. I think the runway for success will become a bit longer, right? And when I say the runway for success will be a bit longer, I look at it from 2 lenses fundamentally. I think Mr. Vijay and Mruga also mentioned about it. The influence over a customer's decision journey has moved to the digital world, right? A lot more types of products, starting from grocery to automobiles, are being considered to be brought online. And same is the case with fashion or apparel industry, where I belong to as a startup co-founder. And work-life integration has become very, very crucial, right? So work and life have intermingled with each other, right? So even for a startup, for us, especially when I talk about Stitch journey also, it was very crucial that we stayed true to the customer pulse. What do the customers of today actually need? And there is still, I believe, a lot of pent-up demand for smart casual clothing, right? We might say work from home is the new norm, But we also know that, people are preferring a lot of smart casual clothing, right? Even when we are doing this call, we are very comfortable at wherever we are, right? So that is one. And second, from a customer pulse perspective, people are looking for sustainable brands, right? Brands which bring in sustainability, breathability. When I talk about apparels, that is also very, very important for today's customer, right? So a startup which can correlate and change their model to suit that customer pulse will be much, much more effective and much, much more successful in the longer run, is my belief, right? And this is where at Stitch, what we are trying to do is, for example, we have been dynamically changing this landscape to a production on demand model. We do not overproduce. We keep very, very minimal inventory so that our designs are very, very close to what a customer likes, right? And we can change our schematics and our processes to really match the customer preferences very, very fast, right? So, and our suppliers and our fabric suppliers have been closely monitored in such a way that they do not run into any overhead expenses, right? So I think fundamentally it's remaining close to your suppliers, to your customers, understanding what their pulse is right now so that you can cater to their needs, which could be, smart casual wear, something which appeals to their sense of belonging in these tough times. I spoke about sustainable clothing wear, which would be important. I think these are some of the inputs which have helped us at Stitched as well, and I'm sure it will help the startups as well.
Thank you, Durga. You said two things which are very important. One is back to basics in business, and second, you talked about what I read in the business school almost 30 years back, just in time. We used to call it the Japanese just in time. And I think it's a great time to implement that. Vishdeepak Dixit, you come from the creative economy, come from the music ecosystem. Performances have become digital. Artists are not getting gigs like they used to get earlier. Quality and quantity, numbers and yields. Now tell me, what are the entrepreneurs themselves to pivot to deal with this new abnormal?
So for me, music industry is, in my view, music industry is a very is directly correlated to sentiments of the people and the way people see themselves and their financial strengths, their own life. Somebody talked about sentiments driving the economy, and music industry is not untouched by that. And when people are happy, people listen more music, consume more entertainment. This overall, the current situation has impacted music industry in general. And like you said, live industry, live events that used to happen and fetch a lot of revenue are completely on a standstill, and we don't foresee it happening for the next one and a half year or so. Digital shift, as we talk about in general in all the businesses, are not really is not really something that can replicate or complement a live music environment. So while everybody is trying to figure out ways and means to generate a revenue model around digital events, it doesn't look to completely substitute the existing model. So music industry, apart from live music scene, is doing fairly well, but the live music scene is
Vishdeepak Dixit, if the movies are not being made, Bollywood music is still the single largest driver of revenue. The gigs are around the music that comes out in movies. If movies are not being made, if movies are not being released, I mean, the chances of the music ecosystem players doing well become bleak. What do you have to say to that?
So yes, the music industry overall is suffering. That's a given, and artists generally thrive off the appreciation they get from the live audiences. That is their biggest motivation, apart from, of course, the
source of income. There are gigs that artists who charge up to 75 lakhs to 1 crore for a single gig. So there are artists starting at 1 lakh, going up till 75 lakhs, 1 crore. So it is also very lucrative. depending on who you are, what is the success you had. What I'm trying to ask Vishnu, how are they surviving? What is the pivot they've done? I know they've done digital performances, but the revenues are possibly 20% of what they are in the physical setting. So where are we headed with this?
So overall, the way I have seen music industry, the artists, when we talk about artists who are generating revenues of close to 1 CR for a gig, they are themselves very self-sufficient, and they have more revenues to generate revenue. Like in today's world, posting something on social media itself gets you a fair amount of revenue for yourself.
You're an influencer. Yes, it gets you some income, though the influencer incomes have also fallen drastically. Because the last 5 months, brands have been on a pause, which is the single biggest source of income for influencers. So, Rishabh, one of the things that I would like to ask Mr. Khandelwal, and you may want to join, is this, retailers were earlier kind of resisting technology.
Mr. Khandelwal, is the embracing of technology as a cure, not a bane, happening? Are you guys, I'm going to ask you on the China vacuum in a bit, but is it happening?
The traders are now embracing technology because we are asking them to adopt and accept the technology. I think you will agree with me that in the past years, when technology was on a free spring, nobody, not even from the government, ever care about this retail trade of the country, which is employing 40 crores of people. And we were never told about the availability of technology. We were never told about the advantages of the technology. In COVID, and the Confederation of All India Traders is working towards acceptance and adoption of technology since last.
But Mr. Khandelwal, are you guys in competition with the e-commerce platforms, or can you work with them?
Well, under the present circumstances, when big e-commerce companies are indulging into predatory pricing, deep discounting, loss funding, exclusivity, inventory, nobody can compete with them. And I am sure the government of India is bringing out an e-commerce policy which will set these people's right. Okay. And then certainly, then I can assure you, the Indian traders are quite competent enough to give any kind of competition to these people.
Bang on. I'm sure that's going to happen. But I'm just trying to get a touch upon everybody here. Mr. Khandelwal, is there now a focused, conscious thought when we are looking at where the world is panning out? Are people now thinking that our sourcing from China, which was a no-brainer a bit earlier, should be different? Are also thinking that, look, I might have a tech platform or an app platform, but maybe I need to base it off Indian servers. Are people having these conversations?
Yes, and perhaps it might be known to you that Confederation of All India Traders has launched a campaign against Chinese product on 10th of June, and we have set a target of discontinuing imports from China worth 1 lakh crores of rupees by December 2021. And by the end of this Diwali, we are going to touch the figure of 40,000 crores of rupees imports from China. You can't depend upon country like China, who is autocratic, and the traders are and the traders have discontinued their imports from China.
So there is a conscious thought being put in. Let me get Mr. Rai back into this conversation. Mr. Rai, seeing it from a slightly larger perspective, because you have operations, in several regions and in countries. Are you feeling a palpable need to at least apply your mind when it comes to the practicalities and the sensitivities involved with this now? Yeah, just unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah,
I couldn't get you, by the way, your question.
Yeah, are you applying your mind when it comes to the practicalities and sensitivities of what to do with China?
No, actually, we have already, by the way, we are not in China in terms of our development centers. As I also am on the committee of the Multinational CEOs Council of India, where we are discussing one of the agendas we are discussing with Niti Aayog on 28th with Amitabh Kant, where we have 60 minutes of clear-cut discussion about what India needs to do to leapfrog from where we are and what gaps need to be really fulfilled, or what we call the bridging the gap, is that, what is the ecosystem what we are developing in our country to attract more investments? Number one, foreign direct investments. Second, how can we create a level playing field for people to come here and set up the centers? Just Bangalore is not going to be sufficient. We need to have many more regions in the country. We should provide the ecosystem, both in terms of the fiscal stimulus and more in terms of the liquidity infusion, what I'm talking, which the question which we thought we will discuss is not only fiscal, but also taxation is one of the bigger things, which we are trying to say. So we have a center in the USA. Now, what we have done is that we have to Bangalore in India is for the future technologies like edge computing, blockchain, where we work, artificial intelligence, AR, VR, and also IIoT, smart manufacturing, all of them at the intersection of Enterprise 4.0, where we can also support micro, small, and medium enterprises.
Okay, no, but I'm asking in very practical terms. One is designing products for for companies. One is saying that look, our centers, our data servers are going to be based out of India. Are these becoming thought processes for you?
Yeah, these are becoming, because we had difficulty in getting bandwidth in India. We have to come via Singapore or some other country,
right? Because
the bandwidth was always a bigger issue. That's absolutely
okay. Just stay with me. Let's get Durga into this conversation. Durga,
So just that in the music industry and the film industry, we are coming out with one of the world's first innovation, which is good news for Muruga and other people who are in the industry. And as Anurag was also asking, we are developing the world's first artificial intelligence and AR, VR driven platform for sports, for celebrities in the Hollywood, Bollywood, singers, and all kinds of artists of multi-sectors, multi-platform, tier 1, tier 2.
I was about to think that you're going to have artificial intelligence music now, and that will actually put the rest of us out of business. But no, I'm sure it's to aid the data collection by these artists. But let me put the same question to Durga. Durga, now operating in a platform like yours, are you having to have a conversation about supply chains, or even where your data is stored and who designs it, and where your data servers are going to be based in technology solutions that you want to come up with?
Yeah, I think I look at it from a slightly different lens. I think it's all about building your own competitiveness in manufacturing and supply chain, so that your agility and your responsiveness to shocks is much better, right? So for example, we ourselves operate on a very intelligent tech stack which tracks consumer behaviors very, very closely. And we are able to produce and manufacture only those schematics and designs which our customers love, for example.
Correct,
right?
As you mentioned, yes.
Our fabrics are very, very closely designed and sourced from local hubs, wherein we understand their nuances and requirements before we put them into production in our JIT model, which I was earlier talking about, right? And most importantly, I think it's a form of motivation for all of us when we are increasing our inner capabilities, right? We are promoting on our merchandising platform, we are promoting Indian artists and talents, Indian rock bands and celebrities. Because, when I talked about customer pulse, the Indian audience is really resonating with those promotions of Indian artists and Indian talents, right?
So it is happening. So you would say that, this curse that we've had, that everything local we actually think is inferior, is gone?
I think it will be a long journey. I think it will be a journey where the capabilities and the perception both have to.
So let's beat it. No, let's break those mindsets. No, happily. Sankalp Shukla, at the hemisphere, which is touching upon many industries. What is your calculation now of doing this uncoupling with China? How does it affect you?
Look, our perspective has always been, let me answer this in two parts. One is on an Indian context. I feel when we talk about Atmanirbhar, for me and for us as a company and as a group, we feel Atmanirbhar doesn't mean that you will have to put in barriers in terms of tariffs, in terms of custom duties, in terms of import duties. But you have to actually work on making India sare jahan se acha. And that's where the real competitiveness of India will lie. Now, coming back on hemisphere, I specifically feel that there were large number of building materials which were getting imported out of China, and there were some of them which came under the tariffs, and few of them will continue to face that sharp tariff increases. We have been supporting local industry as an industry, whether it is CREDAI or any other platform. We've been supporting Indian industry. There are more than 500 industries which actually relate to the entire construction cycle, and we feel that we all, as on a CREDAI platform, on a platform of all the realtors, will continue to support the Indian industry, and we want to see them actually getting sharply competitive with respect to their supply chains.
Okay, becomes an interesting factor on this because Anurag Batra, at a certain point of time, it's all hype until it actually realizes itself into something. Do you think that in terms of consumer choice, people are actually now thinking that, before I purchase a product, I want to know its DNA and what part of made in China or made in India went into it?
I think there is a consciousness. It may not have gone to that extent, but it won't take too much time for it to go to that extent. And there are two angles to it. One is the consumers looking at it. Second is the manufacturers or the product and brand owners tom-tomming their advantage, saying we are a fully Indian supply chain, manufactured product. We don't have China. So as companies use that emotive positioning to reach out to consumers, the consumers may get educated and get hooked onto it. It will happen. It's a matter of time. You will see brands and products saying made in India, not made in China.
No, it's happening already. I'm seeing it happen in e-commerce platforms.
This is where our fabric comes. This is where our production happens. So all that will happen. We are moving towards an India moment, if I may say. So it is bound to happen. It's a matter of time.
Okay, so I'll put the same question to Mr. Dixit. Mr. Dixit, it's not like the artist scene or the music scene in India has been desultory. It might be right now, but there are many reasons for that beyond our control. But in terms of the positioning of creating the kinds of platforms that are going to drive the industry going forward, do you see them developing here in India?
See, there have been quite a few if you're talking about the China versus India kind of a scenario
not
right
per
now.
se, but even the platforms, they come out of the Silicon Valley, whether it be Apple Music or something else. Do you see these platforms coming out of India now?
Yeah, there are. If we look at it, then when TikTok got banned, there were a couple of more apps that have come into the play. And while TikTok ban has been a big issue for the artist overall, because it was itself in its own space, it was a highly revenue generating mechanism for artists and a lot of influencers. But if as soon as it got banned, there were more apps that came into the space and trying to look to occupy what space that TikTok had. Now, two of them I know are Indian apps and doing fairly well. It's about time and they will also have the kind of presence that TikTok had. So it's both intermittent boon, but I think a long-term blessing for music industry as well, because we'll see more of Indian technology-driven systems and
but isn't there a need for hunting that? Muruga, why don't you come into this? Is there a need, because like it or not, we've had the few entrants post TikTok which are doing reasonably okay, but the platforms are not India owned, right? Whether you look at YouTube, whether you look at the Apple Store, Apple Music, these are foreign owned platforms, and these platforms take a hefty cut. They make more money than the artists or you guys combined. Is there a scope there for an Indian-driven platform? Maybe a better model, a smarter model, and a better TikTok?
That's what I said. It's coming.
Let Murugaji take that. Vijayji, hang a second. Murugaji, take that.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, I think the best replacement could be, for YouTube. I mean, YouTube has been there for years, over a decade now, and it's doing pretty good. And that's the best app. That's the best channel for any sort of video to be put up there. So if we have got something which is made in India, somewhat, inspired by YouTube, or you can say a replica of it.
Okay, because I'll just give you an example. As we are speaking today, this is news, and I'm trying to get these guys because we had a long telecast with MyGov when they launched this competition. Yeah. So this is TechGencia, which has launched, which has won that 1 crore prize for the Indian video conferencing solution, Anurag Batra. A great model where the government actually said that instead of tender, we're going to have a competition. And the winner gets 1 crore. The guys who come, second get 15 lakhs. The guys who are in the top 5 get 5 lakhs. So they've come up with a platform which is meant to take on the platform we are currently on, which is Zoom.
Yes.
Rishabh, there are many other platforms. We've had guests on our shows that have represented those platforms. I think it's about the capital. It's not about ideas. These are individuals who worked abroad, they worked in Silicon Valley, and they've come up with ideas which are global in their product, are suited to India. So I think there are many players. Question is, how well can they market? How can well they can sell? What is the staying power they have? How fast they can scale up? Because there is a small opportunity window. They need to kind of capitalize. So capital also comes
but Anurag
into play.
Batra, is it about coming up with a new model? Because the TikToks became the Twitter of video, right? Short, took from Snapchat and reinvented itself as something different. Is this about new models? When WhatsApp started, this concept of an app to do messaging did not really exist, right? So it was an empty thing, and I think all of us now in India, I think one of the biggest users as a country of WhatsApp. So is it about new ideas, new formats, or is it about simply outscaling existing ideas?
It's a combination of both. YouTube is owned by Google, WhatsApp is owned by Facebook.
Yeah.
One, they understand consumer behavior better than everybody else. They have actual data of what we are doing. Yeah. Second, they have pockets which help them market it. They cross-subsidize their product in terms of how they market it. So I think one is about product security. Second is go-to-market. And there is always money needed for go-to-market. There's always money needed for scale-up. On product, I can say I know at least 2 Indian products in the video space which can compete with Zoom. And I say it with a fair degree of confidence. But they need a lot of muscle to kind of now take on Zoom, because in the last 6 months, Zoom has become ubiquitous. So suddenly,
it's become ubiquitous. You're right.
With a big gorilla that has come up in the last 6 months. Okay. So it's about staying power too.
Why don't next week we'll try to do these video conferences on different apps. We'll give it a shot. Let's see how it pans out. It'll be a live test on it. Mr. Dixit wanted to make a point. Mr. Dixit, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a point about when we're talking about coming up with more products and more apps and more digitized, things out of India. One thing that we should also understand is music industry overall is not bounded by the country of origin.
True.
And it's also very internationalized in terms of the language. So while it's okay to have products made out of India, a product made out of US became popular because it's the biggest market of music. The Indian music market still stands at, it's not even in top 15 music markets globally. We are $500 million.
No, but why is that? Is it because we're not consuming it, or is it because we're not paying for the consumption we're doing?
Indian consumers don't have the tendency to pay as much, which is changing now. But we are more used to whatever is available on the free of cost apps, be it Google, be it YouTube, be it free subscriptions of Spotify or whatever platform is available. Okay. So the whole tendency to pay is is now getting imbibed in the Indian audiences.
Okay.
Or
Okay. So it's
Indian
coming. I mean, I think most of us, I think most of us are paying for music now. Where those days of MP3 downloads 10, 15 years ago are gone. We are all on Apple Music or Spotify or something that we're paying for our music one way or the other. Maybe not a lot, but we're paying for it. Mr. Rai wanted to make a quick point.
I think it's also important.
Yeah. Go ahead, Durga. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's also important to closely monitor the customer preferences, right? I think we spoke about fashion retail and how the preferences for smart casuals are very strong. And in fact, when Shein got banned, and we also saw that difference, right? And we were doing certain things right at Stitched, and we have seen a lot of consumer interest and preferences for Stitched as well. Because I think we are still in that journey of understanding customer preferences. So I think.
Okay.
Capital, of course, is important, as Mr. Anurag said, but I think realizing the gap is one thing, but making a model out of those customer preferences.
Okay, so you're telling us data is gold.
Important.
You're telling us data is gold. Mr. Rai wanted to make a small interjection. Mr. Rai, go ahead. Just unmute yourself, sir.
Vijay.
Yeah, I'm there. So on the India-China opportunity, I just wanted to add a few words, if you allow me.
Please.
Yeah, so the opportunity for India is huge, and so we have been thinking really seriously about it, and the anti-China sentiment should be viewed as an opportunity for India that could be monitored, that could be monetized actually by positioning India as an able contender to service the value chains and also attract foreign direct investment. Why this will be very, very important, because that's what we're going to talk a few days later. This will bring about a global realignment depending upon the geopolitics that plays out in the post-COVID world, which is a very big subject of debate and discussion for a next kind of a panel. The job losses which we see due to the economic fallout, which is originating from COVID-19 pandemic, also presents a unique opportunity for India. The availability of skilled and trained labor, anyone looking to manufacture in India, we have those kind of skilled labor, and that's what is capital.
You're preaching to the choir. I think all of us are so convinced of that. It's just about, this is the reason we've been doing this for 3 months. I promise you, if I had a conversation with Anurag Batra and said we do a 200-part series on the economy, it wouldn't have made sense, because people find the economy very, very dreary to talk about. Everybody wants to talk about Pakistan and Jammu and Kashmir mein kya ho gaya. But the reason this is happening is because there is a belief that is happening, and we share it. Anurag Batra, we got 5-6 minutes left. For all our panelists, Anurag ji has a special rapid fire for you at the end. Anurag ji, go ahead.
Thank you, Rishabh. All I want to know, and I want very honest, short comment. Do you see we know in the medium term, which is 12 months, and in the long term, 36 to 60 months, we will do okay. We will do better than before. But what is your outlook in the next 3 to 6 months? And a lot of people say, we should look at economy in the long term, not in the short term. But a lot of companies and entrepreneurs will not survive in the short term. And that's why I asked this question. So how do you see the economy in the next 3 to 6 months? Good, bad, or worse? Or will it be tepid like now it is right now? I'll start with Durga. Durga, economy, good, bad, worse?
I think it will be tepid, more between good to bad. We'll have to keep patience and focus on the basics, as I mentioned in the very beginning. Focus on what your customers need. Work on your model which is sustainable and which can cater to their needs. That is most important. And have a much better runway, right? So I think be it preserving cash, be it taking care of your customers and suppliers, which will be helpful for you in the longer run. I think have a better runway for you to last that wide, right?
Okay, conserve cash, conserve cash. Conserve cash, and it will be tepid. So conserve cash. Mr. Khandelwal?
Well, if somebody conserves the cash, then where the traders will stand for. So
that's right. But the problem is when corporates say they're conserving cash, so are their customers. So, it's like a catch-22, and that's where the sentiment, and the only person capable of changing the sentiment is government. So we have to look up to our government. It has done very well till now, but we need more from the government. So, Mr. Khandelwal, post-Diwali,
I think we will have to strive hard to remain alive in our business for next 3 to 6 months, because these 6 months are going to be very, very crucial. and we are looking for government to give us some kind of support policies. But yes, I am very convinced that this Diwali is going to be a perfect Hindustani Diwali. Maybe simple, but the spirit of Diwali will be there.
Okay. Mruga Umrania, do you see the economy getting bad, worse, or staying tepid like it is?
It will be the same only for another 2-3 months. That's what I see. But once things start opening up, then it will pick up with its fastest pace. That's also, I'm sure.
That's a $1 trillion question. When would things start picking up? Too many variables. When will COVID go away? When the vaccine will come? But you believe that next 2-3 months it stay tepid. Wish Deepak Dixit?
I have, I'm a very optimistic person, but I still feel that things are not going to be good. Things are going to be I have 3 options, good, bad, or worse. So I'll select bad, not worse. Also because a lot of people have been through the journey of government of Startup India. And these are some of the brightest minds of the country who have put at stake their existing jobs that they had, put their money on the table, and now, unfortunately, all that is gone or virtually gone. So a lot of these people, a lot of startups, 40% of the startups have already closed down in India, statistically. So for the ones who are still continuing, it's going to be very, very tough unless and until there is some kind of a support that comes in from the government. And I'm not talking about the MSME policy, which has been floated, because a lot of startups won't qualify for that. So unless until something specific comes for startups, it's going to be a very, very difficult journey for guys like me, guys like, a lot of us who have been in this industry.
If you believe it will be bad, it will get bad for a while till it really comes back.
Till it really comes back.
Vijay Rai?
Yeah, we did some back of the envelope analysis, and we found that in countries where we have successfully controlled the coronavirus, which is at the near zero levels, the economic activity has returned to some kind of normal situation. In those countries which are yet to do the containment at zero levels or closer to that levels, which is what we call the balancing act, which India is trying to do, given the huge numbers, I think I would place India's rating to be moderate. Given 1.9%, I could foresee, at least if the policy stimulus and the reforms and the liquidity is in place and we are acting faster and being agile, some sectors would perform very well, like our sector in artificial intelligence is going to remain on the green zone. But I think as an economy, I would love to see India to be at 5% in 2021, given the balancing act is done properly, and given the vaccine also is coming sometime at the end of 2021, as Bill Gates recently shared that it is not before 2021 that the vaccine is going to come. Unless we see a second wave, India should be actually on a moderate path of recovery, and this is only because trillions of dollars have been wiped out from the Indian economy, and there is a lot of reset which is happening. So I'm not an astrologer, but I can actually tell you, if our stars are good and if we do the right balancing act, we see 5 to 5.2% growth, a possibility in the year 2021. And if not...
Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you.
Finally, your word, Mr. Sankalp Shukla, you've seen the world, you've set up ventures, you exited, you have a fair amount of idea of what is the situation on the ground. So tell us, what's your outlook?
Yeah. Anurag, your question was very specific. So in a 3 months time, I see it's going to be survival of the fittest. It's going to be a situation where as an industry, you have to survive, as a company, you have to survive. It's going to be a tough situation, but at the same time, every industry is seeing a very different curves, and that's how it is going to evolve. So I see a 6 months time, of course, things will stabilize. Also, why I say this is that now pandemic is moving towards the rural areas, and that's where your real demand was coming in from just post, you can say, the lockdown situation. And my take, and just to summarize, is that we as a country should play on our strengths. Our strengths have been on the technology sphere. Now, if you see, we have spoken about India, China. We have to actually be ahead of the curve when it comes to 5G technology. if it comes to the technology on microchips, all these companies are now Chinese companies.
By the way, Reliance has filed a
I know that. I was coming to that.
For technology and 5G. And I think my view is that Diwali will see short-term gains. Of course, Diwali is a special day. There may be some pent-up buying, pent-up demand manifesting itself. And we'll also see demand possibly staying for a little while. But I think it'll be next year before you see a turnaround and a scale-up. And we will see a lot of product companies, possibly, I'm hoping, to come out of this pandemic. India hasn't produced a single product company for a long time. So I'm hoping the pandemic produces a product company. Over to you, Rishabh.
Okay, well, we are out of time. So I'm going to leave it at this. If you're looking for a place to stay, go check out the Hemisphere project. If you're looking to buy clothes, go check out Stitched. These are the people who we need to support. Support your local Kirana stores. Mr. Khandelwal has promised us they'll be on an app near you soon. And of course, if you're looking for AI solutions, Mr. Rai is there to provide it. Let's approach this as Team India. We want everybody on this panel to do well, because then India does well. We're all in the same boat. Let's keep pushing that forward.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.